Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Shot, where I take a fresh look at the week's biggest stories in the world of GLP-1s. I'm RMZ, and today we're talking about how the GLP-1 wave is reshaping everything from billion-dollar biotech buyouts to the candy aisle and even your next medical scan. So grab your coffee or your profie or your protein shake, and let's get into this week's shot. Big story first, Novo Nordisk just announced a $5.2 billion deal to acquire Akero Therapeutics, a U.S. biotech that's been developing a promising liver drug called efruxifermin. Who comes up with these names? Now, this isn't your typical buy another obesity med move. This is Novo expanding its empire beyond obesity and diabetes into a condition called MASH, the new name for what we used to call NASH, or fatty liver disease. Now, why does this matter? Because MASH is massively underdiagnosed, but it's tied directly to the same metabolic issues GLP-1s target: insulin resistance, inflammation, and visceral fat. By buying Akero, Novo's saying we're not just the weight loss company, we're the metabolic health company. And it's a smart move. The GLP-1 market is getting crowded. Eli Lilly, Amgen, Pfizer, just to name a few. So Novo needs to diversify. And let's be real, a $5 billion purchase for a drug that's still experimental, that's confidence. And there's also an opportunity here for them to combine this drug with the GLP-1, since Wegovy was approved earlier this year to treat MASH. If efruxifermin actually works for MASH the way early trials suggest, this could add tens of billions to Novo's long-term portfolio. All right, now here's a ripple effect nobody saw coming. According to a recent report covered by LiveMint and Reuters, Americans on GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy and Zepbound are literally reshaping the sugar industry. People taking these meds are spending 6% less on candy, 10% less on sweet baked goods, and overall sugar demand, especially from beet sugar, has tanked so much that farmers are panicking. Beet sugar prices are down about 33%, and producers are calling it one of the toughest years they've seen in decades. That's wild. Think about it. These meds aren't just curbing appetite, they're curbing entire industries. When you make people not crave sugar, you're not just helping them lose weight, you're changing how the economy works. We talk about GLP-1s as medical breakthroughs, but they're also behavioral modifiers on a national scale. Fast food, snacks, alcohol, soda, all of it's getting hit. We're watching in real time what happens when biology beats marketing. Now, this one's more technical, but super important for the medical crowd. Researchers recently found that GLP-1 agonists can interfere with FDG PET-CT imaging. That's the scan used in cancer detection and inflammation tracking. Basically, these drugs alter how glucose is absorbed and distributed in the body, which can make certain scans show false positives or false negatives. So if someone's on a GLP-1 and gets a PET scan, doctors now have to flag it in the chart, and it's another example of how fast this medication class is rewriting clinical playbooks, even beyond metabolism. Next up, a story about access. A new study found that around 17 million U.S. adolescents and young adults technically qualify for GLP-1 therapy based on BMI and comorbidities, but insurance coverage just isn't there. That's a huge equity gap. We've got drugs that can change metabolic trajectories early in life, but the people who could benefit the most often can't afford them. So while GLP-1s are revolutionizing healthcare, we're also risking a two-tier system: those who can afford to be metabolically well and those who can't. Finally, a big picture stat that's jaw-dropping and hopeful. According to Swiss Re, a major global reinsurer, if GLP-1 adoption continues to rise, we could see U.S. mortality rates drop by up to 6.4% by 2045. That's not just fewer deaths from obesity or diabetes, that's fewer heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and all the downstream effects of metabolic disease. It's rare for an entire class of drugs to measurably move life expectancy at the population level. That's how big this shift might be. So to sum it up, Novo's buying its way deeper into metabolic medicine. Sugar producers are sweating, doctors are rewriting imaging guidelines, and insurers are lagging behind the science as usual. The GLP-1 revolution isn't slowing down, it is accelerating, and that is your weekly shot. If you found this interesting, hit that like button, drop a comment about what story surprised you the most, and subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the science. If you want to stay ahead of the science that's shaping the future of healthcare. I'm RMZ. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another shot of insight.